All right, so we have a few file updates to get started with. The first one is in relation to an assault investigation. So charges have now been approved in relation to an incident that occurred on October 20th of last year involving a City of Victoria bylaw officer. Andrew Dolan has been formally charged with 1 count of assault following an altercation that occurred in the park in the 1100 block of Caledonia Avenue around 9:45 a.m. that morning. Victoria Police Major Crime Detectives completed their investigation and forwarded a report to Crown Counsel on November 23rd of last year. The matter is scheduled for court on April 26th. Mr. Dolan is not in custody and has received a summons to appear for court.
Could you spell his name, please, Mike?
Sure. Last name is D-O-L-A-N. First name's Andrew. It's common spelling A-N-D-R-E-W.
So this isn't a promise to appear, is it?
No, it's a summons, yeah.
Are you aware of whether he's still in the employ of the City of Victoria?
I don't know. You'd have to contact the city for that.
And you approved or recommended charges in November, and he was actually charged.
We forwarded our file for Crown to review and to see if they wanted to proceed with charges or not, and they did. So,
was there a recommendation?
at that time, we just forwarded our file for review to let Crown make the decision.
So why did it take so long? What were the circumstances that made it more, that's quite a long, 5 months between the charges being forwarded and the approval?
It would be up to Crown to speak to that. I'm not quite sure what the delay was, but sometimes charges do take that long when there's different issues that are present. So I know it was a big case for us to write up and to review. So
Do you know his age?
not off the top of my head. Sorry.
Was the victim cooperative with police during the investigation?
Yeah, the victim has been cooperative with us, certainly.
And 1 count of assault?
Yes.
Very good. Just common assault?
Common assault, yes. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So we have an update on our indecent acts that we're seeing here. So Victoria Police are still requesting the public's help in identifying the suspect of numerous indecent acts over the past few months. The latest incidents occurred this past Sunday and only a short time apart. So around 1:10 p.m., 3 13-year-old females were approached as they waited in the bus shelter at the 700 block of Finlayson. The suspect approached the bus shelter but stood outside the glass partition. As the friends waited, they looked over and saw that the suspect was masturbating. A passerby then came to the bus stop and the suspect immediately left. About 20 minutes later, a 22-year-old female and her 29-year-old friend were approached as they sought refuge from the rain in a carport in the 100 block of Cook Street. The suspect male attempted to get their attention by making some noises. When the two friends looked over, they noticed that the suspect male had exposed his penis and was touching it. In both cases, the victims provided a similar description of the suspect. So again, that description is a Caucasian male, 20 to 35 years old, between 5'10" and 6 feet tall, approximately 190 to 220 pounds. He has a medium build and short brown hair. And at the time of the most recent incidents, he was wearing a long trench coat and baggy blue jeans. So we've now investigated 11 cases that involve a male exposing himself and masturbating near female victims. The incidents are occurring predominantly at bus stops throughout Victoria and Saanich, and typically younger women of Asian descent are being targeted. We believe that the suspect is responsible for as many as 17 indecent acts, and that have all occurred since January with similar behavior. Anyone who is a victim or witness of these acts should call up police immediately. If you do have any information about the incidents or can identify the person responsible, please contact Detective Kevin Lestuca at 250-995-7234 or our Crime Stoppers section at 1-800-222-TIPS 8477.
This latest occurrence with the two 13-year-old, the 22-year-old, and the 29-year-old, were they also Asian, or were they of any ethnicity that contravenes the previous incidents?
I know that 2 of them were for sure, but the 3 females at Finlayson I'm unsure of. Everybody good?
Yeah, the description, I mean, 20 to 35 years, that's like a huge range. Is that because you have so many witnesses and everyone interprets how old they think someone is? Because I'm gonna, you know, how useful a description is that?
Well, it depends, right? Right, the age range, certainly, it depends on who's giving the information and what they see, so, yeah, it is a broad range. We're working with what we have, so.
And I noticed that were all of these females targeted Asian?
No, the two for sure were down on the 100 block of Cook. The other three, I'm not sure on their ethnicity.
Because this person's target is a huge age range too, I mean, 13 to 30.
All right.
Has there been any like video surveillance from businesses around or anything that would, you know, give you guys more of a clue to his identity?
Yeah, after every incident, our officers are out there checking for video. We haven't found anything that's helping us yet. But that being said, if anybody does see somebody that matches this description, we're certainly interested in that. And we all know that there's video everywhere and lots of video surveillance, so we'd certainly be interested in contacting those businesses as well around those locations.
And has this person like come to your attention because of the frequency of these?
Well, obviously, anytime we get an act like this, it's disturbing for us, regardless if it's one or numerous acts. But certainly now that the acts are increasing, we're seeing, like we said, probably 17, definitely high up on our radar.
17 over what period of time?
Since January.
Since January.
Yeah. All right. So a couple of new files. On Saturday afternoon, Victoria Police responded to the Vic West neighborhood after receiving reports of a male with a gun at that location. At approximately 4:45, police received a call of a suspicious man who was thought to have a gun in his possession and was aboard a BC Transit bus. Officers arrived and several witnesses pointed out a suspect who officers saw fleeing on foot. The man led police on a short foot pursuit and was clutching his waistband while running as if holding something in his jacket. Officers caught up with him, and some tense moments passed before they were able to wrestle him into custody. Once handcuffed, the male repeatedly spit at officers while they were trying to put him in the police car. The 26-year-old View Royal man, who is known to police, was found to be under the influence of alcohol, which was a breach of his current court order. He was released with a promise to appear and scheduled for his next court appearance on May 28th. Numerous patrol units attended the scene, including our K-9 unit, and a thorough search for evidence was done, but no gun was located.
What did you mean by tense moments?
Well, when we arrived on scene, we were giving verbal requests to the male, and he wasn't complying with us. So obviously clutching the waistband and the report of a male with a gun certainly made it tense for our officers.
So any idea what he was clutching? Like, do you think the gun, or if he had some, even a replica that it dropped, or that doesn't?
Could be anything. Could have been it wasn't a weapon at all, and people thought that by the way he was carrying whatever was in there was suspicious, and that could have been the impetus for the call. We're not sure.
Was anything found on this person that he would have been clutching? Any indication of that?
Nothing at the time, no. All right. The quick actions of Victoria Police led to the arrest of 2 individuals after a Victorian man was robbed of his mountain bike at Knife Point on Tuesday afternoon. So at approximately 6 p.m., officers responded to a 911 call from the victim of a robbery at Pioneer Square, which is located at Broughton and Quadra Streets. He reported that he had just sat down on a bench when he was approached by a woman who asked for a cigarette. Shortly thereafter, another man approached, who produced a knife and demanded the victim give his bike to the woman. Several units descended on the location, and while en route, saw 2 individuals matching the description of the suspect in possession of the stolen bike walking on the 900 block of Yates Street. Police confronted the male suspect, but the woman fled into the market on Yates grocery store. The 25-year-old man was taken into custody without incident, and other officers attended to assist in locating the woman. Police pursued the woman inside the grocery store, where she was also arrested without incident. After his arrest, a large hunting knife was located on the man's possession, and the bicycle was located and returned to the victim. Two Victoria residents are each facing a charge of robbery with a weapon. Both Desiree Solly, a 26-year-old woman, and Kashif Thomas, a 25-year-old man, remain in custody. Both are well known to police. Mr. Thomas was scheduled for court yesterday, and Ms. Solly is scheduled for her next court appearance on May 3rd.
Will she remain in custody?
She is in custody till May 3rd, yes.
He appears today.
He appeared yesterday.
Oh, and was he released?
No update, yes, sorry.
You don't know if he's still in custody or not? What day was this?
That was Tuesday.
16 or Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing to steal.
Yes.
Something else going on here.
That's what we have for the information. So we just go with what we got. All right. After responding to the report of somebody doing graffiti at the Vic West skate park, Victoria Police instead located a very real-looking replica handgun on one of the culprits. On Sunday evening, just after 7:30 p.m., officers responded to the popular teen hangout at 300 Esquimalt Road after a complaint was received about two youth females who were defacing property and also arguing with other youth. The women had allegedly tagged a basketball hoop, only to have another group of youth who were enjoying the park erase the graffiti. An argument ensued, and one of the women allegedly threatened to use bear spray, but left before things escalated. The two women were located by officers a short distance away, and a subsequent search found a Desert Eagle-style pellet gun, a large knife with a 4-inch blade, and several Jiffy-type markers commonly used for tagging. The pellet gun was modified to make it more closely resemble a real gun, and was tucked inside the 18-year-old Esquimalt woman's waistband. A query of the woman found that she was currently on probation and was violating her court order. She was subsequently arrested, and the weapon was seized. She was then released with a promise to appear for a court date of May 30th.
Who was she on probation for?
I don't have that information, sorry. The officers did not locate any bear spray, and no charges are forthcoming in relation to the pellet gun or the mischief. Her 16-year-old associate was released without charges. As you may or may not know, Victoria Police Community Resource Officer based out of Esquimalt, Constable Chantal Ziegler, who is also our graffiti expert, has worked with the community and the city to proactively combat graffiti in this neighborhood. And this included the use of special paint, proactive patrols, and installation of a sprinkler system at the skate park.
A sprinkler system, did you say?
Yes.
And who controls that?
That's set up by the city, and the reason for the sprinkler system is to wet the concrete every night, because if you have wet concrete, spray paint won't adhere to it. Is that it? All right, last one, missing persons update. So Saturday evening, the Victoria Police issued a media release seeking the public's assistance in locating a missing 25-year-old woman, Jessica Cressy. Miss Cressy was reported missing by her family in Merritt after they had not heard from her in a couple days and were concerned for her welfare. Initially, a friend of the missing persons contacted the police to ensure that Miss Cressy was all right. We continued our investigation to ensure her well-being and later reached Miss Cressy on the phone Sunday evening. Miss Cressy, who also came to the station, assured police she was safe. So at that time, officers helped make arrangements for her return visit to her family.
So how did you track her down? Or did she just hear
Her friend contacted us. When she heard their friend contacted us, let her know she was okay. And from that point, we were able to make contact with her.
And you say she told you that she's going to go back home with her
Yeah.
family? So you closed the file on that one?
That is. Yeah, nope, she's located, she's all right. All right. That's all I've got.
What can you tell us about that standoff on that closed down quadrant for virtually the whole day?
Yep, that was last week.
Yeah.
It was in relation to a domestic incident that happened on Quadra Street there. We had information that the male was in there and may have access to a firearm. That's why we locked Quadrant Street down and had our emergency response team out there, crisis negotiators.
When you say domestic, meaning a man and a woman, it started off that way, because in the end, weren't you dealing with two men?
That is how it started. The woman was safe with us after she reported the incident, and then we went to locate the male, and that's when we found out there was other people in the suite and that he was in there.
And whose suite was this?
It was his suite as well.
The person you were after?
Yes.
Okay. And where did the domestic incident begin, in that suite?
I believe so, yes.
So any charges against him?
Yeah, we charge, I can't, there's,
We did initially to charge of assault, uttering threats times 2, forcible confinement, assault.
yeah.
And so, like as I say, the whole day, the street was closed down.
Yep.
Like, was he talking to your negotiators the whole time, or did it take you a long time to get him to even start talking?
We were talking, but just like anything else, typically goes on and off. But no, we did make contact, and it just took a while to have him come out of the suite. So.
And was this person known to you?
Yes.
And the second man, is he injured? What happened to him?
He was taken into custody as well, as what happens in all those situations. We just want to ensure everybody's safety. There's nobody else left there.
Right.
But he was released. No charges contemplated.
And he wasn't injured or anything like that?
Is the bid for Squamalt's contract in yet?
No, there's been an extension on that. So
Okay.
we're just waiting to hear what goes on with that. And then we're working towards what we're putting
What's the
in.
new date?
May
May
4th.
4th is the proposal needs to be submitted, and then the presentation is until the week of May 11th, I think.
Is this an extension that was just granted by the municipality, or was it something that you had requested?
We did not request it, no.
Were you
were
going to be
made
able to
aware-
make the deadline was going to be tomorrow?
Yep, we were prepared for that.
You were?
Yep.
So presumably it was somebody else that needed the extension.
I can't speak to that. I don't know if it was the city or other bidders. I don't know.
When were you made aware of the extension to May 4th?
It was
Last week, last
Thursday?
Thursday. I think it was last Thursday.
So one would assume that this extension was granted after Saanich and Saanich Police
Yes.
decided they weren't going to bid.
Yes, it was.
Have there been any changes to the framework of the RFP since that date?
Can't speak to what we're doing right now. It's still closed.
Well, I'm asking from, the municipality of
Oh, sorry,
Esquimalt.
from what they're
Granted-
requesting?
Yes.
Yes, no, nothing's come to us.
Only changes the date.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they have, don't they have a web, I think they posted it on the website, it was public.
Yeah.
You would have mentioned it if any internal investigations had concluded?
Yes, I would have updated.
I just want to get back to the incident on Quadra Street. In your news release, it said that the incident remains under investigation and charges are being contemplated, maybe have enrolled against a 28-year-old man for assault and forcible confinement. So has he been charged now?
Yep.
Okay.
I think we did.
The follow-up one?
I think we did a release with his name.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's on your site, obviously, still there, okay.
The next day, what was that with? The guy's last
Have
name's
you guys
Cole.
had any more people come forward regarding Cameron Delacroix?
We haven't had any updates on that file. I'm not sure. Haven't had a chance to speak to the investigating officer yet.
And how's the investigation going that you were requested to do about the incident in Nanaimo? There was a mental health call and...
Yeah, I'll be.
Sergeant Hamilton,
Those
yeah.
ones for speaking to him, no update so far.
Those
So
ones
that's-
being all the RCMP files that you're investigating.
Pardon me?
Those ones being all of the RCMP incidents that you're...
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the, sort of being the spokesman for those ones, I guess, until the results, so if I have an update, I'll put something out, but, yeah, I'm still working through those ones.
In terms of investigation and how the police investigate themselves, last week's Camasso decision against Saanich pointed to some major flaws in how internals are conducted, one of which is, not speaking to the officers right away and not separating them like any other witness you would do. Has there been any discussion in the department about making sure that, has there been any discussion?
Well, I don't know if you've looked at the decision, but it's quite a lengthy document.
Yes.
So we were cognizant of the decision when it happened that day. We're still reviewing what the decision said and how it will have any ramifications to what we do here.
But again, that was critical of Saanich Police's conduct of that particular file in terms of the investigation. There's been no aspersions cast in Victoria Police Departments.
As far as I know from the file, we were not mentioned in it, but I honestly don't know. So,
No, I'm
yeah.
not saying that, I'm just saying they had some recommendations about how something in terms of being more properly conducted.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there was any, discussion or something like that.
Well, things have changed a lot since 2004 as well,
Yeah.
across the board provincially. So I was certainly aware of that.
And isn't it, if an occurrence like that happened today, that's something that Vinci would get involved with initially, so.
Yeah, and police, we face so many different levels of scrutiny now. And like I said, speaking to 2004, right, there's a lot of oversight right now. And you mentioned it right there, right? VIMSI would be taking something like that and investigating that separately.
But what about the use of force, like what precedent does this set around mentally ill people? I know now there is IMCERT and there's, response teams, but would that cause, do you guys have to look at whether officers think twice about using their firearm when they know they're dealing with someone mentally ill? Because that's a huge demographic of who you guys deal with, so.
It's certainly a case-by-case basis. And like I said, we have, we're reviewing the file right now. Our use of force experts are reviewing the file. So we're just trying to see what decisions or what things come out of it. So no decisions are have been made as of it yet, or because of it yet, but we're certainly reviewing it.